this is my review of Slime Diaries. Okay, so this episode actually is Rimuru trying to bring the idea of Christmas to the citizens of Tempest, and also this episode implies that Santa Claus may or may not actually be real. I'll get to that in a minute. So in any case, it starts off with Rimuru just kind of sitting in his office, working on some stuff with Shuna and Rigard. And as he's working on he's working on stuff, he suddenly randomly remembers that it's Christmas time, and remembers the tradition of Santa Claus. And the interesting thing about that is that he quickly realizes that Santa Claus was very much a mythical person. But after doing some thinking and even some prodding from Great Sage, he quickly realizes that several of the myths of the things that Santa Claus was able to do can be replicated using the various skills and creatures that are found in the world that Rimuru is reincarnated in. Which then causes Rimuru to ask the question of whether or not Santa Claus was an Otherworlder. So he openly admits his ideas and findings to his friends, who have no real idea what he's talking about. And they don't really understand who Santa Claus is, and they have never really heard his name before. So Rimuru kind of dismisses it and states that's nothing. But Milim, who's also sitting in the room and is eating potato chips and is kind of tuned out, here's Santa Claus, but thinks he's saying a skill name, and then proceeds to kind of harass him about the fact that she's not going to let him get a drop on him with a new skill. At which point he tries to explain to her that it's actually a person's name. And then cuts to several minutes later where Rimuru tries to explain to Rigard how Santa Claus works, and he quickly realizes that it's not going to work in the same way he thinks it's going to be explained to him, because this is kind of a thing that Rimuru brings up in the episode, but as he points out, a lot of the traditions and stuff that we take for granted are completely new to somebody who has never experienced those traditions before. Case in point, he's in a new world with a whole bunch of new people who have their own cultures and beliefs, and they have never heard of Santa Claus, Christmas, or any of that before. So when Rimuru tries to explain that there's an old man who breaks into people's homes and leaves gifts, Rigard is understandably a little perturbed because he quickly realizes that that's a little creepy, and Rimuru openly admits that to himself, pointing out that again, there's a lot of things that people take for granted back home, but here he's quickly realizing that the legend of Santa Claus is a little bit creepy and might not be the best suited to explain to a first-time person experiencer of the holiday. So he then changes to the idea where it's basically, well, as everything else that Rimuru tries to explain, is basically a party. And Rigard understands it completely. Rimuru just to kind of explain it as a party where you eat food, drink drinks, and gives gifts at the end. And Rigard understands completely, and then proceeds to work out how to actually bring Christmas to the rest of Tempest. So, and Rimuru's kind of happy about that, but also admits that that's pretty much the only thing they seem to understand when he explains it. But in any case, now that Rimuru has successfully explained Christmas to Rigard, he has since gone on to help Rimuru set up a festival for a massive Christmas festival, complete with a massive stage, a giant Christmas tree, and Kaijin and his brothers have actually dressed up as Santa Claus, complete with the outfits and their beards dyed. And Rimuru remarks that that's actually kind of perfect, considering that they're kind of old men who dressed up as Santa Claus, and then remembers that there's another old man he knows that could actually work dressed up as Santa Claus. And sure enough, he sends Gazelle Dwargo a Santa suit, and there's just this really funny one-off scene that doesn't really pay off at all in any way, but there's this one scene of Gazelle Dwargo dressed up in a Santa suit, and his subordinate is trying to dance around the topic about how Gazelle Dwargo is dressed up in a Santa suit, since it's a gift from Dwargo's Jr., and obviously he's going to wear it with pride because, well, he's the king of Dwargon. Obviously, he's not going to really care all that much. But in case, now that Christmas is in full swing, Shion actually decides that she's not gonna let all of the men take credit for dressing up as Santa Claus, and decides to dress up in a admittedly very form-fitting Santa suit. Hers is kind of more of a Mrs. Claus Santa suit, but you get the point. She dresses up in a very very tight Santa dress, and admits that she's hoping the holiday will actually bring together people from all groups, be it friends, family, and also to her own admission, loved ones. And Rimuru kind of balks at that last one and kind of snaps at her a little bit, but then immediately takes it back, pointing out that even lovers should actually be able to celebrate Christmas as well. And Shion quickly realizes that she's never seen such a sour face on Rimuru before. But in case, as they're having that conversation, Milim actually barges in, dressed up in a Santa suit, in a Santa costume of her own. And the main reason she's there is because she found out that kids actually get gifts on Christmas, and she can't wait to actually receive hers. But as Rimuru tries and fails to explain to her, only good kids actually get gifts on Christmas, and well, she's a demon lord who has admittedly killed a lot of people. Obviously, she's not on anybody's nice list at all. But Milim is completely tuned out by this point, and Rimuru quickly realizes that she's more so ecstatic about the idea of getting a gift than she is actually upholding the traditions of Christmas. And he quickly realizes that she's kind of that he'll have to give her a gift regardless of whether or not she's been a good girl or not. So yeah, he kind of has a bit of an issue. But in any case, it then cuts to the Tempest elementary school where the kids are actually practicing the Christmas song for a recital that's going to be happening later in the episode. Vesta and Gabiru are actually there to observe, and they actually briefly share their opinions on music, pointing out that the sound of children is actually quite beautiful. But the two of them then proceed to have a falling out over what Vesta later describes as musical differences. But basically, they have different ideas about how a song is supposed to work. So obviously Gabiru, he's the guy who's like, you should sing with all your heart and just go all out passionate with it. Whereas Vesta points out that they need to actually be well-written songs for them to work. So obviously the two fall out over that, and they stop speaking to each other, and Rimuru immediately notices that they don't really get much work done because of that. But in case, Rimuru then checks in with Trainee's bar, and Rimuru decides to ask Trainee if she's going to get any gifts for anybody, and she admits that in addition to Rimuru, for obvious reasons, because she kind of admires Rimuru and all the hard work he does. She's also going to be getting presents for her little sisters, since by her own admission, it's because her little sisters are able to pick up the slack when Trainee is off mentoring Rimuru, that she's able to actually go and mentor Rimuru, and that she actually owes them a great deal because of that. Unfortunately, at that exact moment, Trainee's sisters actually barge into the room and complain about how she's never home and is always working at the bar when she's supposed to be helping maintain nature with them. And the three girls proceed to fight with one another. At which point, Rimuru decides to see himself out and actually sneaks out of the bar. And it's actually a pretty funny bit. But in any case, after following that, it then proceeds to become nighttime, and then they proceed to get ready for the actual festival itself. So yeah, it starts off with everybody it starts off with a countdown for the tree to actually light up and glow up, and it does. It goes up, and it actually works. Earlier in the episode, Kaijin actually designed special custom-made Christmas lights. He basically made Christmas lights. Let's be honest, but he made it. But he actually made it so that the Christmas tree can actually light up using Rimuru's specifications. And from there, they then proceed to actually celebrate a little bit. Everybody partakes in the merrymaking, and Rimuru actually sees Yum standing alone with one of his friends over by himself, and Rimuru then asks him why he's not really celebrating, and pointing out that was a perfect opportunity to be doing some merrymaking. And at which point Hakuryu walks up and agrees with Rimuru, pointing out that that's what the season is for. They're supposed to be merrymaking because, and that they should actually be using that to opportunity to kind of live life to the fullest, as he puts it, because they could very well be a time where they won't be able to celebrate stuff anymore, and that day could come sooner than rather than later. And then ominously admits that his changing is a little bit dangerous because there's always the possibility that Yum could die in it. And Yum admits that living life in the moment might not be so bad after all. But in any case, after following that, it then cuts to Shuna, who has since trained several of her fellow chefs to actually help work on some food. And everybody then proceeds to contribute to different food tastes. Gabichi actually prepares a rack of lamb style dish, whereas Harunu prepares a quiche. They're both delicious. And then there's two others who I don't remember seeing, but they prepare another dish which are also delicious. And then finally it lands on the dish that Shuna herself prepared, which was specifically made to be kind of a steak dinner, which Rimuru admits he's kind of told her based on specifications, and even admits that he has been to a lot of people's weddings, and that was specifically why he decided to have her make that dish. But he then eats it and immediately falls in love with it, as does Milim, who has also been taste testing dishes alongside him. At which point Rimuru invites everybody to come in and actually sit down and eat. Although as everybody's eating, Rimuru proceeds to ask Shuna why Shion didn't offer to cook. And Shuna ultimately remarks that she went out of her way to make sure Shion wasn't involved in the cooking process at all. Just making sure she stays as far away from the kitchen as humanly possible. And Rimuru thanks her for that. But there is one last little treat that Shuna prepares, which is that she's prepared a special cake for the occasion. And everybody proceeds to dig in. And Rimuru even remarks that it must have taken her a long time to get all the ingredients to make it. But she admits that while it was hard work, she did it. She was more than happy to do it. But as everybody's digging into the cake, everybody, and I mean literally everybody, everybody remarks that Shuna should actually start a restaurant because she's a damn good cook. And let's be perfectly honest, everybody knows it, and yet she's kind of not so, as she openly admits, she's wholly dedicated to serving Rimuru, but Aaron actually remarks that she feels like Shuna is actually squandering her gifts, and even envies Rimuru a little bit, pointing out that her cooking easily dwarfs the skills of some of Ingracia's greatest chefs. And as soon as Aaron says that, Shuna gets a little bit full of herself, and kind of goes a little bit yandere mode again, because pointing out that clearly there are other. That yes, she does realize that there are other people in the world, but the tone of her voice implies that she doesn't particularly care for having rivals and would like to be the only one to serve Rimuru nice food. And Rimuru quickly realizes there's a change in her personality. He's quick to point it out. But in any case, there's also a scene. I'm not entirely sure where to best slot this in, but there's also a scene in there of Silka and Sui kind of going on patrol, and as Silka is kind of remarking about the merriment of Christmas, Sui actually shows up and tells her that they can partake in the merrymaking later, pointing out that that for the sake of the country they need to actually kind of suppress their emotions, suppress all their feelings and stuff like that. And although he's more than not so subtly being ironic here, because he then turns around and is revealed to be wearing Groucho glasses and a clown nose, and Silka can't help but be doubled over in pain laughing. She's just finds it that funny and can't help but laugh out loud because of what Sui did. At which point Sui reveals that it's actually a prank that they're going to be pulling on Great Rimuru. And then puts his glasses on her face, and then remarks that he actually got her a pair as well. At which point she remarks that he's a bit too cruel. Case in point, she's kind of toying with it. He's kind of toying with her emotions a little bit here. It's very cute and a very heartwarming scene to just see that they kind of regard each other as a couple, but except not really. But it is a little bit funny that he knows it and is kind of messing with her over it a little bit. It's very funny. But in case with all that out of the way, the final stop on their entire journey through Christmas, other than the gift exchange, which comes at the end of the episode, is of Erin actually leading the entire nation of monsters in a original Christmas carol that she wrote herself. So, and this proceeds to not only be one of the more breathtaking songs in this anime series period, but it also kind of sets up an idea for a montage where everybody's celebrating their merrymaking, and is all celebrating Christmas, and some of them have even changed clothes. Shuna is the most notable. She's actually changed clothes into a Santa outfit herself now that she's no longer on the clock. But in any case, there's also one little montage in here where the little goblin girl actually notices that Geld is actually nowhere to be found and goes to find him, and even brings him a little gift of her own, a little pendant that she made. And he decides to not only take the pendant from her and keep it as a gift, but he then decides that he's going to stop shoveling snow, which is where he's been the entire episode apparently, and just go on to celebrate Christmas with the rest of Tempest. And it's just a really cute scene, and the music, I shouldn't reiterate, is just amazing. I can't obviously the way I review I do my video structure, and with my review structure, I obviously can't show it to you guys, but I can't show it to you guys or air it for you guys, and mainly because I don't know how, but yeah, it is a very heartwarming, and if you guys want to go check out the video and go check out the episode and go and see this, then by all means go ahead. It's a very good song, and I love it. But in case following that, what is it? Following that, Veldora and Ifrit are actually watching the gift exchange from inside Rimuru. And as they're watching the gift exchange, and Ifrit even remarks that Veldora should be a bit more diligent, pointing out that he spends all of his time watching the outside world instead of actually working to dissolve the barrier. And Veldora admits that he is still working on it, but then proceeds to ask Ifrit a question about what he would give him as a gift, as a hypothetical, of course. Obviously, he's kind of hiding the entire fact that he wants a gift from Ifrit, but Ifrit just is kind of blunt and to the point, stating that, well, long story short, he would just give Veldora some diligence, and Veldora is kind of a little bit upset by that. But in case, at the end of the episode, and this is where things become a little bit interesting, Rimuru actually does bring Milim a gift, despite outright telling her that she's not Santa only gives gifts to good children, to good little children. And actually brings her a gift, later revealed to be a Rimuru plushie that he made himself. And as he's bringing her the gift, he admits that he probably shouldn't have been so harsh on her, but also admits that the idea of being in her room while she's sleeping is, not gonna lie, he admits is a little bit creepy to himself. But as he's about to leave her the gift, Milim actually wakes up and then proceeds to wrestle him for the gift. And he goes flying out, and he winds up going flying out the window. But in case, after that little exchange, and the next morning, where Rimuru has since fixed the window so that he doesn't go flying out of it again. He then tells Milim to take care of the plush because he made it especially for her, and tells her not to break it. But that same morning, Rimuru and the girls are actually going into the office to start their day. But as it turns out, this is where it gets a little bit nutty. Rimuru finds a gift on his desk. He doesn't know where it came from. None of the girls were in there to leave it for him. And admittedly, even weirder is that the tag is actually in Japanese, which he openly admits none of the monsters should be able to know, and is very curious about who actually left the gift, especially since nobody is owning up to it. At which point, Milim admits that it may have been Santa Claus, pointing out that Santa gave her a visit, not the morning, the evening before, And Rimuru then proceeds to contemplate then his theory about Santa being an Otherworlder may not be so out of place after all. So, yeah, that's how this episode ends. It leaves it on the ambiguous point that Santa may or may not be real. And I mean, that's just a recurring thing in most animated shows, anime and Eastern or Western animation, regardless. It's just a recurring thing that Santa may or may not be real, because obviously the legend has been passed down a lot. So obviously he came from somewhere, and apparently he exists in the world of that time and got reincarnated as a slime. Apparently he shows up, finds out that Rimuru has worked hard to actually bring gifts and merriment to everybody. And he decided to reward him for that. Because for whatever reason, there's just a gift there. It's implied to be from Santa, and nobody knows where it came from. And so it's very ominous. It's this very ominous thing that just implies that Santa is real, but they don't really outright say it. So it's very interesting. So yeah, but that's how this episode ends. It implies that Santa is real. So that's my review of Slime Diaries. What did you guys think? Let's get a discussion going in the comment section down below, or over on my Discord server, link in the description. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter in the description below. And also, be sure to check out my Patreon if you want to help support the show. It's only a couple bucks a month. It really helps me out, and you guys get access to a bunch of cool perks that I was saying thanks. So be sure to go check those out in the description below as well. Also, if you want to help support me even further, then be sure to check out my Twitch. I stream every Sunday at 2:30 Eastern Standard Time. We've been streaming Miitopia for the past month and a half now. So if you guys want to go check that out, by all means, go ahead. I also upload the VODs here in case you missed them, but that's beside the point. And also, if you want to see more content from me, then be sure to check out the videos linked in the end screen. The top video is the most recent video. It may or may not be this one. Whereas the bottom video is the video recommended to you based on what you've already seen from me. So, if you want to try more of what you like, or try something completely different, then be sure to check both of those videos out. But, regardless of whether or not you do any or all of those things, thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I will see you guys in the next video. Peace!